A big hello from me and welcome back to the channel, and with the Star Wars Rivals setup complete, we can now go into how to play the game and how to eventually win the game. So playing the game is in 4 steps. First of all, we deploy characters, we roll the die, we play an action card, and then we score locations. And before we get into all of that, I'll go over a few of the key concepts of the game and some of the components as well. First up, the character cards. Each character in the top right corner has a number, and this is their influence number. This is their overall power in the game, and players will be deploying characters into the locations on the board with the ultimate goal of having the most influence in one location. If you get that, you then score the location, and we'll get into that as well. Next up, we have these tokens. These are negative influence tokens. So certain cards in the game, certain action cards in the decks, or even locations will allow you to deploy these to characters you control or the enemy. And these are very, very simple. Let's say, for instance, we put one of these on Luke. His influence would then become 3. And these are cumulative as well. And these influence tokens, they act straight away. So certain factors in the game will allow you to increase or decrease your base influence on a card. This doesn't change the effect of these. This goes first, followed by any game effects afterwards. Next up are the location cards. So if I just grab this location from number 3, Night Sisters Fortress entrance. Now all of them have a name, the location in the Star Wars universe. This number right here is the number of points you will score if you do manage to take control, i.e. capture the location. And this is a piece of information that will modify or manipulate the game in some way. Not all locations have these. If you take a look at the Tantai 4 hallway, that is just a simple, if you control it, you gain 5 points, nothing else, nice and easy. But if we take a look at the Night Sisters one, ignore all -1s on characters here. Now again, this is cumulative. Characters could have a number of these -1 tokens on their character, but this allows you to totally ignore them using their base influence, that is a really, really interesting location. And with that knowledge, we can now move on to step 1 of the turn sequence, which is deploy characters. Now the dark side has the high ground, as we were shown in my setup video, the recent video. I'll drop a link or a card somewhere on screen. You can have a recap if you need to. And I think we'll go with the big man first. So Vader, being the ever faithful servant to the dark side, he's going to try and capture the Emperor's throne room. So now play moves back to the light side, and we take it in turns 1 and 1 until all characters are played onto the 3 locations. Luke Skywalker, never missing an opportunity to try and convince Daddy to come back to the light. He is going to move into the throne room there. Now Darth Vader does have 6 base influence, but with the information on the throne room card stating dark side force users have +1 influence here, he's on a beefy 7. Luke is only on 4. Luke will need some backup. Next, we go back to the dark side, and Asajj Ventress is going to play very thematically as well and try to capture her old haunt, the Night Sisters Fortress entrance. Back over to the light side, we are going to deploy Clone Commander Cody. Cody has a grudge with Ventress, and he's going to try and capture that location right there. As it stands, Ventress is on 3 influence, Cody is on 5. Not bad. Next, we will go to the Imperial Trooper. Ventress needs some assistance, I think, so we will move the Trooper there to back up Ventress. And the last one for the light side, Luke knows he's at a loss right now, so he will move the Rebel Trooper into the throne room to help him take down Pappy. And with that, that is step 1 complete. Now we can move into step 2. Roll the dice, and the dark side player, again having the high ground, rolls this die. So give that a roll, and we'll take a look at the results. And this die result shows that locations 1 and 3 are up for grabs, meaning although it's a very, very interesting, very cool thematic battle, in number 2 nobody needs to be there. We are not scoring this location. So now this is where step 3 comes into play, and that is play an action card from your hand. And again, we do have our hand of 3 cards. but the dark side player has the high ground. They choose their card first, lay it face down on the field, we will pick our card, lay it face down and we reveal them and read the information. Each hand size is always 3 cards unless a card states that you may draw another one, and at the end of a round you draw back up to the 3. So these are the cards in the dark side player's hand. Now we'll go through some of the information on these. You have an effect that takes place when you play it, so once it's placed down and revealed you would play that, or on some very powerful cards you have an optional mission. Now these are risk reward actions. You can play the card now, foregoing the mission, or hold on to the card in the events in the future that you may be able to use this mission, and if you do, you gain the score accordingly, and that goes into your end game score pile along with captured locations. And I think Ventress will be playing How Unfortunate, I Was Looking for a Challenge, and it reads, at Ventress's location, place 2 tokens on each enemy with any tokens on them, or place 1 on each enemy without any tokens. So Cody doesn't have any tokens, so we do take 1, we place it on his card. So now just bear in mind, Cody would now be on 4 influence, 5-1 due to the token, but the Night Sister's entrance location does state that all tokens are ignored. Now he does keep the token for a future turn, but the negative will not take effect whilst in this location. But that's the best she could do with her hand of cards, and we will move on to the light side player now to see what we can do. And these are the cards in our hand, and likewise we may have cards with missions, but for this one I think we'll be taking it back the hard way. You may draw an action card, you may reveal a card from your hand and take its action. Keep the card in your hand. Now bear in mind, this is the card we did play down and have revealed, so once we do this, this does go into our discard pile, but we do get to draw a card, play the action and keep the card. And we draw. There's nothing for me here now. You may move Luke to another location. If you do, remove 1 token from Luke and 1 ally there. Now, we know that the throne room isn't being scored this turn, so it makes sense to move Luke to another location. So Luke is going to be hightailing it out of there. He gets to move there, and as a bonus, he gets to remove a token from himself and an ally. So Commander Cody goes back to full, and we do get to keep that card, so we can actually use this on another turn, which is very, very powerful. And with that we move into step 4, score locations rolled. So first up we look at the dice. Locations 1 and 3 are being scored. We have no one there. Number 2 is totally ignored, and now we begin to score this location, and we add up the total influence. Ventress played the card for the tokens, but they have been eradicated. Ventress is on 3 influence with an Imperial Trooper backing up for 5 total. Cody is on 5 and Luke is on 4, meaning 9 points in total. The light side wins that location. What we do is we take the card and we put that into the light side player's scoring pile. We are now in the end of round phase after all location scoring is done. First of all of our characters return back to our bases. Rebel Trooper goes back there. Ventress, Vader and the Imperial Trooper. We then reveal a new location for location number 3. So we have Beggar's Canyon, it's worth 3 points and it does have some information. If you score this location, you may place 1 token on one of your characters here to draw 2 action cards. Now that's optional, but that is very, very powerful. Now you can only have 3 cards in your hand, but that technically allows you to have 5 for the end of the turn. Any -1 tokens do actually stay on characters, but they can be removed if you have a character in the back to tank. Now I'll explain what the back to tank is. At the beginning of a turn when you are deploying characters, you can optionally move a character to the side of the board, and this is called the back to tank. They are out of capturing locations for this round, but at the end of the turn, during the end of round cleanup, you bring them back into the game, remove all of their tokens, and they're nice and healed, nice and refreshed, ready to begin capturing locations for the next turn. Next, after placing all of our used action cards into the discard pile, we draw cards up to our total of 3. Now we already did draw the additional card, we have 3, so we keep those, we don't get to draw anymore. The dark side player played 1 card, they would draw back up to 3. The high ground token is then flipped. it is now the light side's turn. They now have control of the dice, and we begin another round. And turns continue like this until every location is revealed onto the board, with each team having a total pile of captured locations. Now, once this deck of cards, which is 12 by the way, in a full game like this, each player brings 6 locations to the deck each, 12 total, we shuffle them, and that is the full deck. Once we get down to the final card, and the final one has been revealed on the final round of the game, the dice is not rolled and it becomes a huge free-for-all. You then place all of your characters into as many locations as you can, and we keep playing until the last 3 locations are captured. And again, no dice roll, so all 3 will always be captured in this way, and that would end the game. Once the game is ended, you would then grab all of your locations that you have scored, add all of the totals up, and that determines the winner, including missions as well. And that is the game of Star Wars Rivals by Funko Games. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope this video was helpful. If you do enjoy this game, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to talk about this game with more people. I'm really enjoying it right now. It's a very light-hearted, very fast-paced, casual, but quite tactical game. And with the booster boxes and the additional characters available, I can see some really nice builds of teams coming out in the future as well. And I will be covering this as often as I can, as long as you guys enjoy the content. So until next time, guys, have a good one. Thank you so much for watching.